Chapter 10. A Night of Magic and Kindness. Ina stood at the edge of the bustling marketplace, her dark hair catching the afternoon sun as she smoothed the sleeves of her charcoal hanfu. The crowd gathered around her, their murmurs rising like a tide as she reached into the pouch at her waist. With a swift motion, she pulled out a handful of live insects, their tiny legs scrabbling against her palm. She tossed them into the air, and with a whispered incantation, they spiraled toward the ground where Tommy, a young man with a nervous grin, sat cross-legged. Tommy's eyes widened as the insects landed on his tongue. He gagged, his face turning red, then he spat them out with a series of sharp coughs. The crowd erupted in cheers, coins clinking into a small wooden bowl held by Ina's companion. The onlookers clapped and laughed, some even shouting for more. Ina merely nodded, her expression calm, her dark eyes scanning the crowd with quiet satisfaction. Josue Chi watched from the shadows of a nearby alleyway, his hands resting lightly on the hilt of his sword. He had been tracking the ruffians who had been harassing the market vendors for days, but today he had been drawn to this spectacle. The way Ina moved, the precision of her magic, it reminded him of something he had long forgotten. As the crowd dispersed, he stepped forward, his presence commanding yet unassuming. Reyes Lu, a man with a weary demeanor and a scar across his cheek, was being cornered by three burly thugs near the market entrance. One of them shoved him hard, sending him stumbling into a stack of crates. "You think you can just ignore us, Lu?" The leader sneered, his voice dripping with menace. "Pay up, or we'll make you regret it." Josue moved before the thugs could strike again. He stepped into the open, his sword glinting in the sunlight. "You will pay for your actions," he said, his voice low and steady. The thugs turned, their eyes narrowing. Who the hell are you?" Josue didn't answer. He drew his sword with a smooth motion, the blade catching the light as he swept it across the ground in a wide arc. The thugs stumbled back, their confidence faltering. "You've been harassing the vendors. You'll write a blood oath, and you'll pay a fine equal to the sum you've extorted from the market." The leader laughed, but it was nervous. "You think we'll just—" Josue cut him off with a sharp gesture. "Do it, or I'll make it so you can't walk for a week." The thugs exchanged glances, then reluctantly pulled out ink and paper. They dipped their fingers into their own blood, writing the oath with shaky hands. When they were done, Josue nodded, and they scurried off, their heads down. Reyes Lu approached Josue, his face a mix of relief and gratitude. "Thank you. I've been trying to get rid of those thugs for weeks, but they always found a way to avoid me." Josue gave a small bow. "It was nothing. I've been watching them for a while." Reyes Lu hesitated, then gestured toward the Lu estate, a large stone-walled compound visible in the distance. "You and your companion are welcome to stay at my home. We have rooms, food, and no more trouble from those ruffians." Josue glanced toward Ina, who had been watching the exchange from a short distance. She nodded, and he accepted the invitation. The Lu estate was a sprawling complex of courtyards, gardens, and stone buildings. The air was thick, with the scent of blooming jasmine and the soft murmur of servants moving through the halls. Reyes Lu led them through the main gate, his steps measured and calm. "My cousin is hosting a martial arts tournament soon. It's for marriage, you see. But I'm not sure I'll be able to compete." Josue raised an eyebrow. "You're a skilled fighter." Reyes Lu shook his head. Well, I've trained, but I'm not like my cousin. He's a master of the sword. I've only ever been good at avoiding trouble." Ina, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "A true woman will show her feelings. It's not about skill. It's about what's in your heart." Josue felt a sudden warmth in his chest. He had always been taught to hide his emotions, to keep his heart locked away. But Ina's words struck something deep within him. He glanced at her, his eyes meeting hers for a brief moment. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Reyes Lu's wife, a woman with a gentle smile and quiet grace, invited them to dinner. The table was set with porcelain plates and carved wooden chopsticks. The food was simple but delicious: steamed fish, stir-fried greens, and rice. The conversation flowed easily, the tension of the day dissolving into laughter and shared stories. After dinner, Ina asked if she could help Josue with his hair. He hesitated, then nodded. She led him to a small room overlooking the garden, where the moonlight filtered through the bamboo screens. She took a small comb from her satchel, its handle carved with delicate patterns, and began to work through his long dark hair. "You seem troubled," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Jiaoxiu didn't answer right away. The comb moved through his hair with a gentle rhythm, the sound of it soothing. "I've never spoken of my feelings before." Ina paused, her fingers lingering on the comb. "It's not easy, but it's necessary." He looked at her reflection in the small, polished mirror. Her dark eyes were calm, her expression thoughtful. "You've been watching me," he said. "I've been watching you," she admitted. "You carry a burden, Josue, but you don't have to carry it alone." He closed his eyes, letting the moment sink in. The weight of his silence began to lift, replaced by a quiet understanding. Ina's touch, her words, felt like a gentle breeze on a hot summer day. As the night deepened, the sound of crickets filled the air. The garden was bathed in silver light, the scent of night-blooming flowers drifting through the open window. Jiaoxiu felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. Ina's hands moved with a quiet confidence, her touch both gentle and strong. "You'll be ready for the tournament," she said, her voice steady. "Your cousin will see you for who you are." Jiaoxiu smiled, a small, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Thank you. Thank you." Ina didn't speak again. She simply continued to comb his hair, the silence between them filled with unspoken understanding. The moonlight cast soft shadows across the room, and for the first time in a long time, Jiasu felt like he belonged somewhere. The next morning, the estate was alive with activity. Servants moved through the courtyards, preparing for the tournament. Jiaoxiu and Ina stood by the main gate, watching as the first contestants arrived. They were all young men, dressed in clean, simple robes, their expressions focused and determined. Reyes Lu approached them, his face a mix of excitement and anxiety. "The tournament starts today. My cousin will be competing. I hope you'll watch." Jiasu nodded. "I'll be there." Ina smiled. "Ah, we'll both be there." As the day wore on, the tension in the air grew palpable. The tournament was a fierce display of skill, with each fighter showcasing their mastery of swordplay and martial arts. Jiaoxiu watched from the sidelines, his mind still on the night before. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, a clarity he hadn't felt in years. Ina stood beside him, her presence a quiet comfort. She didn't say anything, but her calm demeanor helped de-steady him. When the final match began, Jiaosu felt a surge of confidence. He knew he had to step up, to show his cousin and himself that he was more than just a man who avoided trouble. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the estate, Jiaosu and Ina walked through the gardens. The air was cool, the night breeze carrying the scent of blooming jasmine. They didn't speak much, but the silence was comfortable, filled with the unspoken understanding they had built over the past few days. "You'll do well," Ina said softly, her voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. Jiaoziu looked at her, his heart full. "I'll do my best." They continued walking, The path, winding through the garden, the estate was quiet now, the sounds of the day fading into the night. Ina's hand brushed against his, a small, gentle touch that sent a warm current through him. For the first time, he felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. The next morning, the estate was alive with activity once more. The tournament had ended, and the winner had been announced. Reyes Lu's cousin had won, but it was Josue's quiet strength and determination that had impressed everyone. As he stood with Ina, watching the sunset from the garden, he felt a deep sense of peace. "You've changed," Ina said, her voice soft. Josue smiled. "I've been changed." Ina's hand found his, and they stood together, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The estate was quiet, the garden bathed in the soft light of the setting sun. For the first time, Josue felt like he had found his place in the world. And Ina, with her quiet strength and gentle touch, had helped. Didn't find it.